Hey everyone, we wanted to go over some tips and tricks on measuring PTO assemblies. So when you call in advance, or when you call in, we have those measurements well in advance before the phone call, because when you do call in, that's some of the questions we're going to ask you, just to make sure we get you sized up to the correct cross or even just a complete PTO assembly, because some of the factors into that are going to be like the horsepower of the tractor and maybe length, that type of thing of the whole PTO assembly. So what we want to do is just go over a few little things that we would need in advance before you call in. And the main thing when we're talking about the cross, everybody pretty much knows what the cross is in the PTO assembly. You also see it in your drive lines on your cars and trucks. But we always need these measurements off this cross, that way you can figure out what series size you have. So just to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about here, is the best way to get those measurements is with the digital caliper. So what we're going to do is just make sure the caps are pressed all the way in. And what we're going to do is take those calipers and measure that full length so we can get that reading there. And then we'll do the same thing on the reverse side. Just do the same thing, pull those two measurements there. And then when we're talking about the bearing cap, we need to get the measurement for the outside diameter of that cap. So we're going to put it on there as well and do the same thing. Turn it 90 degrees and do the same thing for that other cap. And what we want to do is, what we're doing there is trying to figure out if it's metric or a standard U-joint. That way we know what series size it is, because that will actually tell us what size you have. The reason why we need to know that is just like we were talking about before, is when we get into series size, the series size will determine the horsepower of the tractor that can actually spin that PTO shaft. So if we undersize it and you've got a 150 horsepower tractor and we're sizing it to a 75 horse, it's going to create an issue with those bearings to where you're going to have a fault or a breakdown out in the field, or if you're mowing or something like that. So we want to try and get away from that in advance of putting a new assembly on. So when we get those measurements on, some of the other things we'll ask is even like the cross section of the shaft. You can see here, this one we always call like a star pattern. And then you have this other one over here, which is a square or a rectangular pattern. This would be domestic, and this is actually a Walter Scheid type setup. So those types of things help us as well. And then, like I said before, just having the overall length between the implement and the tractor. That way we know what length we can actually get you to if you're actually looking at a full assembly. Because we don't want to get you too short a piece and then you extend it out. Then you have flop in the PTO shaft or something like that. Or you have catastrophic failure, and all of a sudden you're having to replace it with another one. So we want to kind of go over this with everyone just to give an idea of what we're looking at here when we're trying to size up PTOs and all that, and trying to just even do some simple repair work on them. If you have any other questions on that, you can give us a call at 800-934-9777, or you can check all these parts out on sloanex.com.